Hi there. This video is going to be about sculpture and making an armature with newspaper. An armature is the underlying structure of your sculpture. You can make it out of several different things. There's a way to make it out of wire. There's a way to make it out of newspaper. You could do newspaper and wire, or newspaper and pipe cleaners. You could do popsicle sticks. It's really open and up to you. You could do it out of cardboard. It's all up to you. But I'm going to show you right now how to do one with newspaper. Okay, and it starts out with deciding what you want to make. If you'd like to draw a picture of it ahead of time, just to get an idea of how you want it to be arranged or positioned, that's completely okay. But you're just going to start out by tearing up newspaper and crumpling it up. You'll need newspaper and some masking tape. You could use Scotch tape, like this kind of tape. That would be totally okay. But if you get it wet, it might come apart a little bit. It probably won't hold together quite as well as masking tape. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by taping it together like this. And your entire armature is going to be that way. Okay? You're just taking little parts of it, like say if I wanted this to be the body of an animal, I would go ahead and tape it so that it stays together and it's not going to come apart. I want to put enough tape on it that it's completely stuck together and there aren't any ends sticking out. If you're going to cover it with something like plaster or Model Magic or something along those lines, you can go ahead and cover that. You don't need to cover up every single piece. But if you're planning on going right from the newspaper to painting it, then you'll probably want to cover up all of these pieces of newspaper because the tape is going to paint just a little bit differently than the newspaper will. Okay, it'll take the paint a little bit differently. So you'll want to make sure it's all a solid color. So you want to go ahead and tape the whole thing then. And smooth it out as much as you can. Try to get those bumps out if you're painting it right away. Now acrylic paint will stick fine with this. I wouldn't use watercolors on this because it's not going to adhere or stick very well to the tape. Okay, the tape makes it a little bit of a smooth, slick surface. So you're going to probably want an acrylic paint to cover that with. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that whole thing. Okay, now I have the body finished. I would do the head, the neck, the arms, all of those things. I've got a couple that I've already started that I'd like you to see. I started out doing horse, and when you're making legs for an animal, what I've seen students do in the past is a lot of students want to take their paper and they want to roll it. And so what they start out doing is they might even use a pencil for this. And they start out doing something like this. And then letting the pencil slide out. And what happens is they end up with kind of a tube shape. However, a tube shape is not going to be very sturdy. And if you're wanting it to stand up, and you are putting something over the top of it that's moist, like plaster or Sculpt-A-Mold or even Model Magic, those might weaken this newspaper. So it's a good idea to take it and bend it in half and then tape it around, okay, which is exactly what I've been doing for this. Now, I would recommend getting them about the same width, so that all four legs are the same width. You don't have one that's really big and one that's really thin. Again, that's not going to make it sturdy and it won't stand up that way. If you're wanting to make something that stands up, you kind of need to have them about the same size. Once you get it completely wrapped with the tape, you can decide how long you want it to be. And what I'm doing is I've got it, this is a piece that I've crumpled just like I showed you. Crumpled it, I rolled it, and then folded it, and now I'm kind of squishing it together and wrapping it as tightly as I can. What that's going to do is pack that newspaper nice and tightly so that it becomes sturdier. If it's a hollow tube, it's going to crumple. If it has weight put on top of it, this will not. Okay, so I want to get it approximately the same length. If you need a Sharpie to go ahead and mark that at around the same length, you can. And then just take your scissors and cut that part off. So now I've got all 4 legs the same length. Okay? Now I'm ready to go ahead and tape those on. And what I can do is I can go ahead and take this, and I want it to be sturdy enough. I want to kind of shore it up. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit higher, and I'm going to tape it all the way around. I'm going to take this and wrap it around. I'm trying to get as much tape on all those surfaces as I can to make it stick better. Okay, now I'm going to go around and I'm going to go underneath. You do kind of use a lot of tape with this. And then I'm going to go from this side. But the idea is to make it sturdy so that it can stand on its own. Okay, so I've got one leg there. Now I can do the other leg. And I would do this for all 4 legs. And I had decided with mine that I did not want to do, that one looks a little bit shorter. I did not want to do, I might have to cut a little bit off that one. As I'm looking at this, I'm noticing this leg still looks a little bit longer than that one, even though I'm starting it in about the same place. So we'll see. I may have to cut a little bit off. This is kind of a trial and error process as you're doing it. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it. Each time it's going to be a little bit different, and like I said, you may get part of it done and go, I need to redo that. And that's totally okay. That's part of the process. Artists have to do that all the time as they create. You're kind of modifying things as you see that they need to be fixed or changed. Okay, I'm going to tape that around there. I'll probably put another piece in between here to make sure that those stay straight, because I don't want them curving in like that. That's going to make it unstable. Okay, so I'm going to put one in there, and it doesn't have to be this long, so I'm going to tear that off. I just want to make sure that those are staying in their own space and not crossing over to the other side, making it not stable. Okay, because I want it to stand up. And like I said, I think that side's a little bit longer, so I'm going to trim just a little bit. I can always go back and trim more. Don't trim too much. There we go. That seems better. Okay, once I get the back ones on, I think we should be good. I did not do a tail on this because it's a horse, and I'm thinking maybe I might want to use yarn for that to make it kind of fuzzy. I'm thinking I don't want it to be tape, and I don't want it to be Model Magic or plaster or any of those things. I think I want it to be soft and fluffy. So I think I'm going to go with yarn on that. Okay, and this is kind of a simplified shape, as you can see. Like, horses have legs like dogs that come out like that, but I'm going to simplify it for this just because I want it to be sturdy, and I don't want to take a chance on it bending at all there. I can bend this a little bit once I get it together. The tape, that's one good thing about the tape. It will provide me with a little flexibility. It allows for a little bit of bending, whereas the newspaper wouldn't take that shape and keep it. The tape will. If I bend it like that, it'll give me that little bit of a bend in it once I'm done. See how it's standing? Ta-da! Okay, one last leg to attach. Okay, up and over and down. And remember, I'm wrapping this to get as much tape on that leg as possible. I'm going to wrap to the back also, and then go under, and then I'm going to wrap from the front to do the same thing. Okay, all right. Now, one more piece through the middle, like in the front, and we should be good. All right, now to bend this one a little bit. Now, if I wanted to, I could make that part a little bit thicker so that it stands better. And as I'm looking at this, the head looks really big, so I'm thinking I need to make the head a little bit smaller. So I'll work on that. Okay, now this leg is a little bit too long in the back. It's throwing it off. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. There we go. Now it can stand. Okay, so I'm going to work on making the head a little bit smaller. While I do that, I will come back and I will show you how to add the I'll show you how to add a covering on the top of it, whether you choose to use plaster or whether you choose to use Model Magic, whichever. They'll both work.